Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for coming today to our POW-MIA Recognition Day Remembrance Ceremony. At this time, could everyone please stand for the presentation of our colors by the John Basilone Detachment, and please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Single file from the right forward march. Right face.
I'd like to call up James Muller to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Raise hand. Huh.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to ask Mel Mazzaro to please come up. Mel.
I can do it from here.
Yeah.
Oh, thus be it ever, when veterans shall stand between their loved homes and a war's desolation, blessed with victory and peace, may the heaven-rescued land praise the veterans that hath made and protected this nation. Then conquer we must, when our cause it is just, and this be our motto: in God is our trust. And then the Star-Spangled Banner in triumph shall wave over the land of the free, because of the brave. Ready, two, right face, forward march. Detail. Oh.
I'd like to ask Amanda Mazzaro from the Edison Police Department, please come up to the national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the lands of the free and the home of the brave?
Ready, two, right face, right face, forward march.
Thank you, Amanda. You always do such a beautiful job. We appreciate that very much. Folks, each POW-MIA Recognition Day, we reaffirm America's gratitude to all service members throughout our history. This annual event honors prisoners of war and those who are still missing in action, as well as their families. More than 83,000 Americans are missing from World War II, the Korean War, the Cold War, the Gulf War, the Vietnam War. You may know the story of Edison resident Ronald Michael Mersick. He graduated from Edison High School in 1962, and in 1965 graduated from Parks College with a degree in aeronautical engineering. He was defending this country on a mission in Vietnam when he went missing in action. Ronald entered the U.S. Air Force and became a jet pilot in 1965. Eventually, he was assigned to Vietnam. He was listed as missing in action on November 24th, 1967, when his aircraft was shot down between Vietnam and Laos. Let's keep the Mayersick family in our thoughts today. I'd like to call up Quartermaster Brian Schreck to read the history of the POW-MIA flag.
Good afternoon. In 1971, Mrs. Mary Huff, an MIA wife and member of the National League of American Prisoners and Missing in Southeast Asia, recognized the need for a symbol of our POW MIAs. Prompted by an article in the Jacksonville, Florida Times-Union, Mrs. Huff contacted Norman Rickvies, vice president of Annan and Company, which had made a banner for the newest member of the United Nations, the People's Republic of China. As part of their policy to provide flags to all UN member nations, Mrs. Hall found Mr. Rickvies very sympathetic to the POW-MIA issue, and he, along with Annie's advertising agent, designed a flag to represent our missing men. Following league approval, the flags were manufactured for distribution. The flag is black, bearing in the center in black and white, the emblem of the league. The emblem is a white disc bearing a black silhouette, the bust of a man watching tower with a guard holding a rifle and standing on a barbed wire. Above the disc are the white letters POW and MIA, framing a white 5-point star. Below the disc is a black and white wreath above the white motto, "You are never forgotten." Concerned groups and individuals have altered the original POW-MIA flag many times. The colors have been switched from black with white to red, white, and blue to white with black. The POW-MIA has at times been revised to MIA-POW. Such changes, however, are insignificant. The important lies in the continued visibility of the symbol, a constant reminder of the plight of our American POW-MIAs. On March 9, 1989, a POW-MIA flag, which flew over the White House on the 1988 National POW Recognition Day, was installed in the United States Capitol Rotunda as a result of legislation passed overwhelmingly by the 100th session of Congress. The leadership of both houses hosted the installation in a ceremony demonstration of bipartisan congressional support. This POW-MIA flag, the only flag displayed in the United States Capitol Rotunda, stands as a powerful symbol of our nation's commitment to our POWs, MIAs, until the fullest possible accounting for Americans still missing in Southeast Asia has been achieved. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. At this time, I'd like to call up Virginia White. We call her Ginny. Ginny White, please come up. She'd like to tell you the story of her brother Joseph.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. On March the 29th, 2021, our nation commemorized the National Vietnam War Veterans Day on its 50th anniversary. This gives all Americans a day to reflect, to recognize, and to thank our Vietnam veterans and their families for their service and sacrifice during one of America's longest wars. I am here to speak about my family's sacrifice. I know some of you here have experienced the very same loss. Joseph Colasurdo was my brother. He was only 21 years old when he was called to serve. He was born and raised here in Edison Township. He attended Piscataway Town School No. 3, Thomas Jefferson Middle School, and Edison High School, class of 67. Joey worked summers on the township in the sewer department, and he also worked at Great Eastern Mills. He was woodsy. He was a hunter, a fisherman. He ran a trap line at the end of Player Avenue. That's where we lived. And that was along the Raritan River. And he also learned to swim in the Raritan River. My mother never knew that. She would have never stood for that. When he was called to serve, he was proud to do his part. And why wouldn't he be? He came from a family of veterans. My dad, my 6 uncles, all my cousins, all served in different wars and conflicts. Joey wanted to go and serve. He always said he looked forward to coming back home so he could join the VFW with my dad so they could have a few beers together. Sadly, he was deployed to Vietnam and was at Cu Chi base. Cu Chi was a huge base, and he was there for just 5 weeks. We lost him on January 3rd, 1969, but it seems just like a minute ago. To all of you that have suffered loss, our broken hearts reach out to yours. Just know, as long as we remember them, they're never forgotten. Thank you for listening.
Hoorah, hoorah. That was great, Jenny. Very good. Thank you, Ginny. Let us also remember Sergeant Frank J. Solomon, nearly 70 years after he was captured during the Korean War and held in a prisoner of war camp where he died of dysentery and pneumonia. The remains of a 21-year-old U.S. Army Sergeant Frank J. Solomon finally came home and were put to rest. Brigadier General William C. Doyle Memorial Cemetery is where he's laid in Burlington County. May all of these brave men never be forgotten. I would like to now call up our Council Vice President, John Pointer, to speak on another Edison hero, World War II prisoner of war, George Red Ellis.
Good afternoon, everyone. Today, we gather to honor the courage, sacrifice, and resilience of prisoners of war and those missing in action. I'm honored today to do such reflection by sharing the story of our own George Red Ellis. He was one of many brave Americans who have answered the call to serve our nation over the years. At just 18 years old, Red demonstrated valor and selflessness as he was drafted and joined the U.S. Army under General George Patton. Upon completion of basic training, he was assigned to the rifle platoon of the 76th Infantry Division. On June 27, 1944, just 21 days after D-Day, Red landed in France and began his route to Luxembourg to reinforce Allied forces there. Once there, they advanced into the German line, ferrying troops across the flooded Sauer River. On one return trip, Red's boat became under attack by heavy machine gun fire. After drifting downstream and finally making it to shore, he and 2 fellow soldiers found themselves surrounded by German forces on both sides of the river. Captured and held as a prisoner of war from February to May 1945, Red endured unimaginable conditions: malnourishment, lice, constant harassment, and even threats of execution during SS interrogations. At one point, there was a bombing raid that allowed Red and 1 other prisoner of war to escape. Unfortunately, 7 days later, they were recaptured and sent back to camp. Fortunately, Red's story didn't end in captivity. Near the end of the war, Red was being transported by train by German soldiers, which was soon under airstrike attacks. The German soldiers had to detach the engine and left everyone behind, which allowed for Red and the other prisoners of war to escape. From there, they fled to a nearby town and were liberated by the 9th Armored Division. In a twist of fate, they were asked to become guards themselves, helping process surrendering German soldiers. After some time, they were relieved of their duties, and on November 29, 1945, Red was discharged of his military duties. After returning home, Red married the love of his life, Doris, raised a family, and continued to serve, this time as president of the Onaway Association, preserving the legacy of the 76th Infantry Division. As Major General Daniel York once said, Red is a true example of the Onaway spirit. He showed his true resolve and resilience, surviving as a prisoner of war. George Ellis's story is one of bravery, endurance, and unwavering patriotism. It reminds us that freedom is never free. It is earned through the sacrifices of those who serve. Today, we honor not only Red, but all who have worn the uniform of the United States military, especially those who never came home. To our POWs, our MIAs, and all veterans, we thank you. We remember you, and we never forget your service. Thank you.
Thank you, Council Vice President. Ladies and gentlemen, we have several dignitaries with us today. I see in our audience we have our former Assemblywoman and our present County Clerk, Nancy Pinkin. It's good to see you, Nancy. Thank you for coming out today. And I have a group of dignitaries here. I'm going to call up some of them, and I'm going to start with our Senator, State Senator, Patrick Dogman.
First of all, thank those in Edison Township for doing this each year. It is just so important. You are not forgotten. We cannot forget, as you point out every year when you give your salutation, we are the land of the free because of the brave. And I want to thank all the military that are here today. Words cannot capture how appreciative we are of your service. And the dedication of those that served in Vietnam. We all know what our veterans put up with when they came back from the war. Here are folks that were out there putting their lives on the line for our democracy and afraid to wear the uniform through the airports and train stations. Let that never happen again. And the most important thing is we have to let our young people know. For the future, maybe we can do this after school so the kids can be here. It's just so important that we not forget how fortunate we are to be the beneficiaries of the sacrifice of those in our military. God bless you, and God bless the United States of America.
Hoorah, hoorah.
Thank you, Senator. I'd like to call up Assemblyman Robert Karabinchak.
Thank you, Bob. It's an absolute honor to be here today, remembering our POWs and our MIA. However, as I always say every year and every place that I've been today's just not the only day to remember these heroes. It should be every single day of our lives when we wake up and we can do anything you want in this great nation. There's nothing like that anywhere in the world. And we have to thank all of our military men and women that have fought for us, lost their lives, their families, the sacrifices that they've done for our liberties that we enjoy every single day. So today is a remembrance for the POWs and AMIAs. This, as everyone said, we should never forget. We should always have them in our prayers, their families in our prayers. So God bless them, and God bless the United States.
Hoorah, hoorah.
Our County Commissioner, Charles Tamaro.
Thank you, Robert, and thank you to Edison Township for once again for continuing this ceremony, to honor our MIA and POWs. As I said in Metuchen around noontime today, I talked about George Red Ellis, our POW, and Ron Marisek, our MIA. And Ron, who dreamed of becoming a pilot. All of us at one time, I think, dreamed of becoming a pilot, but that, some of us, a lot of us, it never became a reality, where it did for him. And he was on a mission in Vietnam, and his plane went down, and they did find his plane, and they did find his dog tags, but they never found him. So as I said this morning too, hopefully someday, with the way DNA is, that they can find his body and bring him home, have some closure for the family. I know his sister. I've met his sister many times, and she has his dog tags, and it would be a great honor if we can close that chapter on his life. And what else can you say about George Red Ellis? He was everybody's hero. That small guy with red hair and behind the camera, doing your job, doing the job and doing the videos at council meetings and planning board meetings, and especially on days like today, you would always see Red here. Our Memorial Day parade, Red was on the camera, and it was a great honor to all know Red. And I had the honor one day because I have Giant season tickets, and I called the Giants up, and I said, listen, I've got this guy from Edison, because they always honor somebody during the game. And after I told them their story, he says, well, I'll call you back. They called me back the next day and says, you bring him in November 13th. And that was a weekend that they had Veterans Weekend, and it was great. They put him on the field with his family, and 80,000 of his best friends were cheering him and saying hello. And, it was a great day for Red, and it was great to see that happen for him, before he died. We lost Red last July, and we truly miss him. He was a great man, and, he fought for this country and did a lot for our country. Thank you.
Thank you, Charlie. We do miss Red Ellis. 2 years ago at this ceremony, we held up the ceremony for a few minutes because Red wasn't here yet, and we waited. And I think he was 94 or 95, and he kind of just drives up. And I said, he is my hero. He was quite a guy. And he explains the reason why he was late is because he had to take his wife to her hairdressing appointment. God bless. Like to call up Councilman Joe Coyle.
Yeah, thank you for having me here today. Again, Red was certainly a friend of all of us. I'd say there was equal love and compassion for this man, and certainly as an elected official, there's not always equal compassion for all of us in what we do, but we do for the right reasons. Virginia White, thank you for your great story. Think about that. Any hero, any veteran out there, to know that their story could be remembered 56 years ago, that's quite amazing. I wouldn't know what it would ever be like to be a prisoner of war, days waiting for torture and what may happen tomorrow by the Germans or any other opposition of ours. Not a day I'd want to ever spend, but I can tell you, as I travel this country, I'm truly proud to go through this country, and I know it's because the men and women behind me, and thank you for that. Every state I've gone through, I've been grateful. Every day I wake up, I'm grateful to have this privilege to serve, be an elected official, and just be involved and have my right to speak. As I know most Americans feel the same way every day, they know this. So on behalf of the council, our council president, Margot Harris, and our vice president, John Pointer, our administration and council, thank you very much for all you do for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Folks, before we describe the missing man table, I do just want to pause for a second so we can just for a second appreciate how beautiful this is. This is picturesque looking at it, and I want to thank the folks who make this happen. It's our Department of Public Works who keeps these grounds so nice. Our fire department puts up this fantastic flag, our honor guard, our police who are here. I want to thank all the groups that helped. Amanda, thank you again for your beautiful singing. Everybody today are part of not only a beautiful ceremony, but in such a setting that this is postcard, folks. I mean, I don't know if it can be prettier. And that, I wanted to share that with everybody. Certainly, I want to reach out and say thank you to Edison Television, which has just been spectacular over the past few months. You really should look at, if you want to see what this looks like, in about a week, go to our website and you'll be able to see the ceremony on the website. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to explain what you're seeing here. As you entered the dining area, you may have noticed a table at the front. It raised call to your attention to its purpose. It is reversed, or it is reserved to honor our missing loved ones, our comrades. Set for 6, the empty places represent Americans still missing from each of the 5 services: Army, Navy, Marine Corps, Air Force, Coast Guard, and civilians. This honor ceremony symbolizes that they are with us here in spirit. Some here in this room were very young when they were sent into combat. However, all Americans should never forget the brave men and women who answered our nation's call to serve and served the cause of freedom in a very special way. I would ask you to stand and remain standing for a moment of silent prayer as the veterans place the 5 service covers on each empty table. Thank you. I'd like to call up Lieutenant Doug Turner.
Thank you, Mr. Deal. Good afternoon. It's an honor to be part of the ceremony today. Our POWs and missing in action will never be forgotten. We're eternally grateful for your service to our great nation. Thank you all. The table is round to show our everlasting concern for our missing men. The tablecloth is white, symbolizing the purity of their motives when answered the call to duty. The single red rose displayed in a vase reminds us of the life of each of the missing and their loved ones and friends of these Americans who keep the faith awaiting answers. The vase is tied with a red ribbon, symbol of our continued determination to account for our missing. A slice of lemon on the bread plate is to remind us of the bitter fate of those captured and missing in a foreign land. A pinch of salt symbolizes the tears endured by those missing and their families who seek answers. The Bible represents the strength gained through faith to sustain those lost from our country, founded as one nation under God. The glass is inverted to symbolize their inability to share this evening's toast. Mr. Deal.
The chairs are empty. They are missing. Let us now raise our water glasses in a toast to honor America's POW, MIAs, and to the success of our efforts to account for them. Thank you. I'd like to call up Eugene Enfield for the Recognition Day poem.
Thank you, Mr. Deal. Today, we honor the courage and sacrifice of those who have been prisoners of war or are still missing. We stand together to remember their strength and their families who wait. This poem is a tribute to them. As time goes on, remains are found and another finds his way back home. After years spent lost on foreign shores, feeling forgotten and left all alone. But they will never be forgotten by the country they went off to serve. We will search until all return to loved ones, the least they all deserve. There are new ways to identify. DNA can tell just who they may be. Those lost in those past conflicts, a hero home, their final destiny. War is so terrible and horrific, worse for the POW and the MIA. All those accounted for compounds the price they choose to pay. Each year, we should all remember those we lost in the fog of war. Better yet, take a moment every day while we appreciate what they fought for. POW-MIA Recognition Day, dedicated to honor their memory for the time of or life they gave to keep this the land of the free. Thank you. Thank you for allowing me to participate. And thank you to each and every man and woman who serves our beautiful country. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Once again, before we conclude, let me thank everyone for coming. I want to thank our veterans who showed up today. We want to thank you so much. We want to thank our veteran groups for putting this together. I see the John Basilone Detachment about to do 2 more ceremonial things for us, which are very much appreciated. We're going to conclude our ceremony with the rifle salute and with the playing of taps by the John Basilone Marine Detachment. Thank you all for attending. Have a great weekend.
Safety. One step forward. Yep, ready. Ready. Fire. Board. Down. Ready. Fire. Ready. Fire. Yep, left. Freeze and pump.
Day is done. Gone the sun. From the hills, from the lake, from the shore. All is well. Safely rest. God is nigh.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.